Welcome to Understanding the Unhoused. My name is Joshua. Through a series of interviews with individuals who are experiencing homelessness, my intention with this podcast is to increase compassion and empathy for the unhoused. Though the terms homeless and unhoused can be used interchangeably, I prefer unhoused because it emphasizes that the problem is a lack of affordable housing rather than a personal weakness. When people see an unhoused individual, they can feel fear, anger, apathy, sometimes all three. My hope is after hearing their stories, hearing what it's like for them on a day-to-day basis, it will make it clearer that these are just people. People who, through a combination of bad luck, bad choices, and, let's be honest, a broken system, have found themselves without a roof over their heads. Okay, enough ado. Here we are, part 2 of my interview with Kelly and Andi from Grow. Hopefully you've listened to part 1, which talks about their origin story and the work that they're trying to do in Concord and surrounding areas. In this episode, Kelly and Andi discuss the process that towns have to go through in order to enact homeless legislation. It's pretty fascinating, I have to say. It's an insight that I have never had before. And they talk about the successes that they've had with their program. Please enjoy the interview.
So has Grow taken over both of your lives? Like, is this either of your full-time jobs, or is this all
yeah.
you do? Nice.
It is for me, yeah. I'm retired twice, so this is all I do now.
Retired twice? How does that work?
I keep trying and I keep volunteering and they keep becoming full-time jobs. So, and I change and say I'm just going to cook one night a week, and then it becomes a full-time job again. But it's a passion for me. It's passion, and my family is really supportive.
You're just so good at it. Yeah,
thanks.
That's amazing.
So are you.
Yeah.
But Kelly's got kids, so you got to give her time.
Yeah. I have a 12-year-old son, so that's my full time. But Grow is my baby. And so when I'm not a mom, then I'm Grow. So, yeah, it's pretty much taken over, but it's a good thing. You know, it's something that I am able to physically pace myself as well. And I have all these amazing people that are helping too, coming out of the woodworks. You know, I like to say that we're a whole bunch of misfits that like to get together and help other people. And it's true, we're just like a mishmash of all these amazing angels who have, you know, gone through their own struggles, and now they're like, all right, let's do this. You know, I could make a casserole, I could make a dish and bring it down, or I have extra towels for your showers. And
wow.
You know, so it's just coming together, the community. We have a huge presence at the city level. You know, we are in contact with multiple council members and stuff, you know, advocating for those who cannot advocate for themselves.
Because a lot of them have no voice in terms of, like, what the authorities think. So that's beautiful.
Right, and advocating, you know, Andy's been a huge advocate for one of our really good buddies, Ace, who, you know, literally went from the dumpster and now he's living at his sister's house, and, you know, he's been thriving for the past year and a half. And you know, that Andy had to advocate everything from, you know, emergency surgeries to, you know, what was right and fair for him, you know, because he did also have a traumatic brain injury, and since he was homeless, he didn't get as much, you know, resources, you know, recovering from that as, you know, most people would.
Yeah. That's awful.
So just, you know, yeah, so, you know, translation. You know, sometimes you just have to translate for others, or, you know, they want to call the police, but they get nervous. So can you do it for me? Of course, no problem. You know, can you help me, you know, contact this person? And of course, you know, just people just need a hand, you know, and it's so easy to help others.
It really is. It's just
been such a big reward.
It's the easiest thing in the world to just, and this is something for people listening to this, like when you pass people in the street. I live in San Francisco now, and obviously I see unhoused homeless people everywhere all the time, and just acknowledging them, saying hello, have a nice day, like just that can help
Mm-hmm.
lift someone's spirits for the day, because most people step over them or say awful things to them. And yeah, it's,
Yeah, if you want the rest of my sandwich,
right.
hey, I grabbed
Yep.
an extra belt. I found these, take some clothes with you. I have some people who will intentionally, put extra food in their car, and especially bottled water on these hot days and stuff.
Yep.
And to take, you hungry on some food?
That's great.
So my favorite thing is telling people to empty your cabinets and all the foods that your kids didn't like that you bought, take it,
Yep. Yep.
Somebody will eat it, because there's not a lot of access to food where we live.
Well, that was something I was going to ask. What are the services like in Concord? Like, how do the police treat them? How are people treated in general by the police and government officials and everything? Like, do they acknowledge the problem? Do they want to do something about the problem? Do they want to sweep the problem under the rug?
The police have been no problems for us at all, because they understand it. We have a peaceful dinner, and that's our number one rule is,
peaceful.
Leave it all in the streets. You come here, get your food, and leave, and it works. And so the police, because they've actually been great. They know who's homeless. They know who sleeps in what parking lot, and who doesn't have registration, but who's going to school still and trying to get a degree, and just trying to get through the medical. They know, and they do a good job leaving people alone, but they have to do their jobs. And if people are parked or places they shouldn't be, get it. They have to move, right? So obviously there are other people, and they have worse experiences, unfortunately, drugs and alcohol, and mental instability, severe schizophrenics and stuff, the ones that are visually out there in the middle of the street drawing attention. There's no place for them, first of all, at all. There's zero place for that person to go.
Right.
And they don't want to take them to jail, and they try not to, but, they know they're going to be back there. So the police have been great here. The churches want to help. A lot of them are, wanting to see change and helping.
Good.
The city will hopefully figure out exactly what is best for the people.
Okay.
But the city just completed a very large, expensive. Well, they allocated $5.4 million to the homelessness issue in the city, and that was about almost 2 years ago. And then the project began, I want to say like January, February of 23, with a working group to come up with a strategic plan, and they hired a consultant. So they ended up with the plan, 7 initiatives, and $5.2 million remaining, and now the city is prepared within the next month or so, I believe, to start putting requests for proposals out to organizations to fulfill the expectations of those initiatives. So that's what Kelly and I are hoping, that the RFPs and the proposals that come in actually do address the issues that are here locally. Because the working group spent an inordinate amount of time and effort to look at purely the local issue in relation to the global issue, but to find out what's truly the core issues here in Concord. But we're waiting to see what happens. I do believe that some of the needs will be addressed. I don't think 5.2, and they know 5.2 isn't going to do it all, but it's all going to be prioritization, and it's the council has a good handle on it. We'll see what happens. We're hopeful.
That's good.
Kelly, by the way, Kelly served on that working group. She was on the strategic.
I was going to ask if either of you were part of it.
Yeah, she served on that working group for the year.
How was it, Kelly?
It was interesting. I knew there was different levels of homelessness, but there's so many different ways to look at homelessness. People who are, literally 1 foot out the door, 3 months away from being out the door, still hanging out with, there's just, and it's hard to know which group to allocate,
which to focus
funds
on.
for. So,
yeah.
Right. So my biggest advocate was mobile resources. how do I hit the most people with the basic thing? Because the people that I come in contact with, it's basic human needs to get through. Sometimes people are calling us just for tampons and pads and water for their dogs or a leash for their dogs. Pants. They have no clothes to wear, no shoes. There are very small resources around here. Sometimes it's just challenging. You need to have a cell phone in order to find resources, and not everybody does. And the whole stealing game, and it's just a circle once you get out here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the different types. You can't come up with one solution that fixes all of it because there's so many different levels to it. Incredibly complex problem. I did want to ask you both before I wrap up, if you could tell me, each of you, of your own, have a success story that Grow has participated in. You don't have to name names or anything.
Andy, you want to go first?
I don't. I have two, so you can go first. I know which one. If you don't pick one, I'll pick the other one.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I have one girl who is in her early 50s, and she literally came from the dark canal and just drugs, just trying to numb everything, just really bad situations and stuff. And just watching her and being around her the past 2 years and seeing her slowly progress, and then finally on her own, like 130 days ago going, okay, I'm ready. And, we've been supporting her in detox and rehab and, going to meetings and stuff. And she, part of, the contract we have with her, one of the situations, here's an example is, you have to go to X amount of meetings a day. Say it was 2 meetings a day at the time. And she is going to 3 meetings a day. And then finally, she worked her way where, okay, we just want you to go to, 2, 3 meetings a week. She's like, nope, I go to 3 a day. She signs in. She loves it. She finds so much solitude. She just applied for school. She starts in August. She's going to go get her GED. She wants to start working. She loves her life. She loves, she feels like she has meaning. She feels beautiful. She's getting to love herself.
Yes.
And, just knowing that there's people around there that, as long as you're trying really hard, will help you. And she has just gone above and beyond.
That's amazing.
She got up and, spoke her story the other day, and she was so proud of herself. Just seeing how proud she is of herself.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Has been amazing. And so that would be one of my favorite success stories.
Nice. Thank you.
I'll use one that Kelly had alluded to before. Also, this gentleman is one of the first people I met at a dinner. I think he was the first meal I came to. Tall, lanky guy. Ate a bunch of food. I mean, I hadn't seen anybody eat that much in such a short period of time, like speed eating, and then just laid out in the parking lot and fell asleep, snored. Whether it's like 6 or 7 of us around, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, and everybody explained to me that it's not just the food. When some of us come here, we feel safe, we feel comfortable. So while we can't sleep comfortably other places, while we know you guys are here and the other folks are here, we can take 30 minutes and just, catch that time.
I love when people fall asleep.
It makes us feel really that's so meaningful. So I started to talk to this guy, and he used to be a scuba diver, and I used to dive and teach diving. And we started talking about sharks and other fish and places where we had been diving, and then learned more about him. And he was drunk 23 and a half hours a day. And all he didn't, and that was the first and last time I think I saw him actually eat a lot, was that first night I was there. Because most of the time he would eat a little bit, but because he would only drink. And he was in a horrific hit and run accident while he was a pedestrian and had some severe injuries. So I started talking to him, and I found he was really intelligent, and we had lots of great conversations. Became really good friends with that, and then he decided, I wasn't there that day, but he decided with Kelly it was time to get sober.
Oh, wow.
So Kelly, he had to go into the hospital.
Well, it was you're going to die or you need to get sober, which is really treacherous winter going in. And
He's in the hospital for a procedure, and they wanted to release him, and it was like we're blocking the doors so they couldn't let him out. Like you can't let him out until he's got a room or a bed at detox somewhere. You just can't.
You can't.
We can't lose him. This is not going to happen. So we got him into a place. He detoxed. He went into rehab, and he came out and different person, totally different person, and became even better friends and had a journey. I mean, he stayed in the shelter. He lived in the Richmond shelter for a while, had to have further surgery because of the injuries from earlier. And then he was always on Facebook. And the one day I was looking at his post and I saw somebody with the same last name posted. And I reached out to her, and it turns out it's his younger sister. And we became instant friends just by talking. And she's like, I want him back home.
That's awesome.
We worked with him, and it took a while to convince him to go back to family, but Kelly and I made sure that he knew that we're family, we're not going anywhere. And we are your family now also, so let's explore this. This is your family. And he's still, I think it's 5 months, 6 months, he's been living there and doing really, really well, helping around the house and doing stuff. So that, to me, taking someone, this is a guy who, when we first met, he slept every night behind a dump between a wall and a dumpster on an old oily sofa cushion. It was just a horrific situation. And now he's living this adorable house with his sister with a little pool in the backyard. I mean, it's a whole different world. It just makes me feel good. And to me, he's still a challenge because he's, a 50-year-old dude who pretends he's 18, but it's okay. But he's a good guy, and he's made it. He's made it. He's got a life, and he will survive. And that's to me, that's what success is in this: is that they get to a place where they feel better about themselves and can be productive.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to wrap up. I appreciate you both so much for talking to me. And is there anything you want? Of course.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to promote or push that you guys have coming up?
And you want to do that? Our website, growconcord.com. It's a great place. You can find all the resources we have, from homelessness to donors. We're always looking for donors. On there, it'll show, whatever we do, dine and donate. Hopefully we'll be getting a silent auction together here.
Cool.
For the upcoming year. And the website has, our calendar on it. It should be easy. The best way to get through to us is it also.
Okay.
Did I forget anything, Andy?
I think that's it. The website, talks about what we do, who we serve, what help we need. We're always looking for volunteers and cooks and things like that. But all the different projects we do and programs and things, and all where we reach out in the community. So we love people. We love talking to people. That's what we do, and finding out how they want to help.
Inviting people's talent and putting it to use, like yours right now, your talent, and you're doing this for us, and this is a beautiful thing. And thanks for getting our word out there, and we really appreciate you.
The answers to this problem are complex, as you said, the solution, but it takes us to do it. We can't wait for government or anybody else to come along and say, we're going to fix this. It's going to take communities and those of us in the communities to do this.
Hi again. Thanks for listening. If you know of any unhoused individuals that would like to be interviewed, or you would like to submit an interview yourself, please reach out to us through the website, understandingtheunhoused.org. Click on the contact button, send us a quick message. We'll get back to you as soon as we can and get things moving. Also, while on the site, if you're feeling generous, please click on the donate button. There is a very low overhead for this podcast, but there are costs involved. Especially when Wendy and I go out to the unhoused community, we always want to have supplies with us, and funds are always welcome to help that along. Thanks again for listening. I hope after hearing these stories, you will have a little more compassion, a little more empathy, and a better understanding of the unhoused.